You don't know where you're gonna go. Spency boy got this schmapped out strong. What's up, my dudes? We got the LCQ Studios Motocross game that's going to come out in about 69 more years. Just kidding. 2069, baby. We'll get it. We'll get it. Don't worry. No, man, I'm just pulling your chain. Yeah, so we got the LCQ Studios Motocross game. You guys probably heard about this game. I think they announced it like maybe, I don't know, 2-3 years ago, something like that. I remember seeing people make videos on it way back when. Might have just been like a year ago. I don't know. I remember when it kind of first started coming around. And the big thing about this game, what I perceive it as, what it's supposed to try to be, is sort of like this arcade simulator motocross game hybrid. So they're trying to kind of like perfectly mix the two. And I want to go in here and kind of talk about all that. And by the way, I'm just going through some of their screenshots on their Facebook page. They actually have quite a few here. They don't really have a lot of like full-blown videos, like long style video trailers that you can really watch and take a lot from. So that's why I'm just kind of scrolling through these screenshots here. But yeah, that's apparently kind of their goal that they're going with here. And it's made by what I think to be a band of college students. I mean, I know it sounds kind of crazy, and I'm actually quite shocked that just a couple of random college students can make something like this, even though just one simple random dude, JLV, made MX Simulator. It's crazy to me that, you know, some of the best games out there are made with such small teams and stuff. I don't know, it's crazy, but, you know, seeing these screenshots and stuff that they've came out with the past few months is really kind of put a face on the name. You know, it's kind of, you're actually starting to see a visual of something here, and that's so awesome. I'm really happy that they're starting to at least get to that level to where they're able to actually show us something, even though it may not be full-blown video form, you know, of riding and stuff like that. At least they're showing us something. At least they're giving us something here. So yeah, I mean, I'm really excited to see what they come up with at the end of the day with it, but I have no idea when it's actually going to be finished. I know some of them, they did say in one of their posts that they were really busy with school and stuff, something like that. So there is no telling when this game is going to actually come out. But it's interesting because if you'll pay attention to the graphics, okay, I'll get to some more screenshots here in a second, but if you pay attention to the graphics, it's got this almost like you mixed MX bikes with Reflex or something. It's kind of crazy. It's like it kind of fits right in with some of these other motocross games around here, so it's pretty cool to see that. But with the whole hybrid between an arcade motocross game and a simulator, you guys know I've always been a little bit hesitant on that idea, just simply because they usually don't, like, it seems like an impossible task. It really does, because if you make a simulator, then there's no way it can be an arcade motocross game, right? A true simulator. And if you make a true arcade motocross game, there's no way that can be a simulator. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, trying to put two into one, it's going to be really hard to actually pull that completely together, in my opinion. It's going to be tough to do it, and I hope they do it. I hope they can pull it off. I mean, I think that'd be a cool thing to have in it, but you know, to have like that simulator level of full-blown physics and gameplay and all that, but having the easiness of an arcade motocross game style, like getting into it, right? So this could be kind of a transition if you're trying to go from like an arcade motocross game into something like MX Simulator, but you feel like MX Simulator is just such a steep incline, such a hard game to even get into, which it is, and I can certainly see that. You know, to really get into MX Simulator, you got to be like wanting it, bro. You got to be like, I mean, it is not an easy thing to get into, man, especially if you don't have anybody telling you things about it and telling you what's going on with it. It takes a long time to even learn the atmosphere of a motocross simulator, a true motocross simulator. But yeah, man, I mean, you can see the graphics right here. They seem to have a bit of that, like, more modern engine than MX Simulator, but it's still got little bit of that, kind of looks like it's got more of that movable reflex style dirt to it. I'm not really sure exactly how all that is. It's hard to say just off of screenshots and stuff, but like this right here, this damn near looks exactly like you took a screenshot from the PC version of Reflex or something. Like that's actually what this looks like. This looks more like Reflex than All Out. Let that shit soak in, bro. Obviously work in progress, right? Don't think I even have to say that, but yeah, I mean, as far as graphically, it does not look bad at all. That's for sure. So we'll see, and I've kind of heard through the grapevine and stuff that they're going to have a lot more extensive like career paths and stuff like that in this game. I don't know how much of that is really true. You know, I've heard everything from you got to go to Loretta's to get your pro license, to do this, to do that. You got to start on a little bike to get to the big bike. When I mean start on a little bike, I mean like an 80 or something. I've heard a plethora of different, you know, rumors and stuff for this game. I don't know what all to truly believe or not believe or whatever. I know the creators of this game, I don't know how many there are, but I have seen a couple of them with the little LCQ Studio name. They'll hop in like an MX Simulator server or something, and I'll be playing with them. I've had some of them comment on my videos in the past and stuff. So, yeah, I don't really know the full like scope of the game in that sort of sense, like every little detail, every little thing they're trying to go with. But it's one of those things, you know, you can have all the ideas in the world, but it's all in like what do you actually think is going to be in the final product, right? That's the stuff I want to hear about, not so much just the fantasy. We want maybe this and there eventually. Like I want what you think's actually going to come in the box. You know, what you think's actually going to make it to launch, because there's a lot of games out there that have huge ideas and they never really come to fruition. You know, they never really happen. So, but we'll just have to wait and see what they're able to come up with. But this right here looks sick, dude. I mean, I just love the graphical. I don't know what it is about it. It doesn't have quite as modern of a graphical look as like some of your brand spanking new engines. You know, it's not like Monster Energy Supercross game graphics, but it's got a cool like PC, kind of like that MX bike style, but I think it looks a little better even. Specifically this map right here, which is just one map, right? Obviously, we got to take that into account, but I like the way that water looks over there. I like the different shrub, trees. I don't know, man. I just like it. I like the way this looks. It's got a very damn near like an MX Simulator 2 type style. Like it still has that PC style graphical look to it, but it's not like trying to be so realistic like a damn Monster Energy Supercross game, official video game or something like that. It's got its own little flair to it, so I like that about it. I do like the way it is looking from the jump here, so we'll just have to wait and see once we see some more stuff. But apparently freestyle, that's always good to have in a motocross game. You know, especially since some of them are totally missing that nowadays. It'd be nice to see that come back for a game, but yeah, I don't know how many screenshots I actually have here, but I will try to run through them all real quick, and then I just wanted to get on here and kind of make an intro video to it. I've never actually made a video on this game before, which is kind of a shocker because most of these other motocross YouTubers out here have made a video on it. I just haven't really got around to doing it. That's just the way it is. So, but yeah, here's another little shot of the actual freestyle. A little Jeremy McGrath action, dog. But yeah, looking pretty good. So it'll be interesting to see how this game is able to separate itself. But obviously these dudes play MX Simulator. Like I said, I've seen the creators of this game on MX Simulator, literally in a server multiple times before. So they understand what a real simulator is, right? Whereas like I almost feel like some of these other motocross companies don't really play MX Simulator like that, so they don't even understand it, right? But if I was any sort of motocross game creator in this day and age, I would play a game like MX Simulator to its absolute full potential before I really started making any sort of motocross game, whether that's an arcade motocross game or whatever, just so you're getting that full scope and scale and sense of the modern day motocross gaming physics. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's a really good thing that people that are making a certain motocross game are into a game like MX Simulator so that they can even understand what that is. Whereas I feel like some of them just don't even have a clue, and you can see it in the way they make their games. You know, they just don't even get what like true simulator level motocross game actually is. They don't. You couldn't possibly understand it if you weren't at least to damn near a pro level in MX Simulator. It's impossible. You can't understand it. You have to feel it for yourself and have spent all that time playing MX Simulator and learn how much of a learning curve it actually has and how much of a true motocross gaming skill gap is. You have to learn that before you can even actually understand when people talk about it. So, and I think a lot of people get it kind of twisted and misunderstood whenever I talk about MX Simulator, because I know for a fact a good 70-80% of you guys have never even played MX Simulator, or you've only played it like once, or you're nowhere near that pro level. So me saying certain things about MX Simulator, it's kind of going over your head. Even though you may think you understand it, you really don't until you play the game and get to that skill level. You know what I'm saying? Like I can talk about MX Simulator and tell it to you till I'm blue in the face, but you won't understand until you're actually to that level. You won't understand how real that bike actually feels, how real the physics feel, until you get to that level, right? And that's where a lot of people get confused on things that I say with MX Simulator, and there becomes such a disconnect with like the fan base and what I'm trying to say about a game and stuff, and so it just becomes very, very confusing in that sense, because it's hard to explain it, Like you can explain and talk about how reflex feels to a lot of people, but some people don't even really know how reflex felt, especially not on the console version, where I felt like it had the best physics system was actually on the console. For whatever reason, PC version of reflex has a little bit of like a input lag, little bit of a disconnect feeling to it. Some of you guys that really know reflex know what I'm talking about, but yeah, here's a little helmet shot right here. Got some nice sunshine effects. Check that out, dog. There's some nice modeling graphics. But yeah, I don't know how hard it is to go in there and make a motocross game. I mean, good God, it's way above my expertise. That's for damn sure. Like I can make a track and I can go in there and like really edit, and I can pretty much make anything on MX Simulator. I can make any object, any graphics, any bike skin, track design, anything. I'm to that sort of level where I can do that. But anything past that, like making my own motocross game, that's where it would become a lot more confusing and tricky for me, because I just simply don't know. I'm not sitting here trying to act like I'm so good at making motocross games and I'm just the best motocross game maker ever. Like I'm nowhere near ever trying to act like that. It's way above my level. Like I don't know how to make a motocross game. I'm just telling you, if I did know how to make one, I would make it like this or like that, or this is the way I would go if I was the head honcho of this next motocross game maker company, or whatever the case may be. I'm just giving my opinions out here, on what I would like to see in a motocross game. So this is sort of your kind of like blank track style, no decal, no textures, no trees, no grass, nothing, and it's just showing the terrain deformation. So apparently this game is going to have some sort of deformation rut building system to it, so that's always nice to see. Thank God it's actually building ruts in a straight line up a jump face, which MX Simulator doesn't have at all. But yeah, man, some pretty interesting screenshots here. It's kind of cool to actually see it in this sort of view, so you're really seeing what the terrain deformation itself, the way it's actually designing it. It looks very reminiscent to like MX Simulator, or kind of sort of like MX Bikes terrain deformation. It's kind of got a very similar look to it. I think it needs to be a little bit more smoothed out than what some of this looks like here. It's kind of got that like splicing look to it. You can see it in some of these areas, which I don't know how that's actually going to fill in the game, obviously, but you can just kind of see it. It's probably in a little bit more of an earlier stage, right? You can see it's kind of making some hardcore ass rut sections on some of this. So we'll see. We'll see how much that can be perfected over time, and where that's going to be in the long run. But yeah, man, hopefully they got like a in-game track editor like MX Simulator has. That's just sort of what I would expect from a game like this. But we'll see. The whole like trying to make a simulator arcade motocross game hybrid, see, the issue with that is it's like so hard to get something that's truly a simulator. It's almost like you can't even have any sort of arcade feeling to it at all if you want it to be as extreme as it needs to be a full-blown true simulator. You see what I'm saying? So it's very hard to sort of combine and meld and mix the two. It's very difficult, and you could kind of see that a little bit in like MXGP Pro when it first came out. Some crazy stuff going on with that. Now, some people, and me to a certain extent, would damn near consider Reflex a arcade simulator hybrid, which is crazy because it's not even a hybrid. Reflex is just supposed to be an arcade motocross game, period, like nothing else, right? But the fact that so many of these arcade motocross games nowadays are so simplistic physics system and so low skill gap physics system, it makes Reflex feel like it's on that next level, pert near like a hybrid simulator arcade motocross game. So in that sense, who knows? But I feel like a game like this is going to be similar to Reflex, but it's going to be a little bit deeper in the adjustments you can make on the bike, that kind of thing. That's what I'm hoping it's going to be more like. That's just kind of what you would assume in your mind, because Reflex obviously has a very realistic physics system to it, even though it's about 1/100th of what MX Simulator is, but it's still way more than like your Fisher Monster Energy Supercross game, you know, those sort of games. MX vs. ATV Supercross and Alive and stuff like that. It's a lot more real feeling as far as Reflex goes. So you can see right here quite the massive berm that's been built up. Very, very rough, very jagged edges on some of this. So you can see that splicing looks pert near exactly like MX Simulator splicing when you got the erode way too high. That's pretty much exactly what this looks like, except the fact that it's actually rutting in a straight line, whereas MX Simulator only does it really when you're turning. So yeah, it's interesting. It'll be cool to see how this sort of progresses over time, and you know, lots of splicing going on right there. That's like some stuff. If you know MX Simulator, this will kind of make your stomach turn over a little bit, because you just know how shitty that feels on a track when the erode makes splicing feelings like that. So hopefully, I know this is all early, hopefully they get that worked out. This is really cool right here, kind of like a marshland, marshy, Marsh SX, old school, baby. But that'd be so cool to have a graphical game to this level, but it's like you've got a MX Simulator style in-game track editor, and you can put, you know, super realistic looking stuff, change the next level graphical lighting effect to it and all that. That'll be awesome to see some stuff like that. And so we'll just have to wait and see, but it looks very reminiscent to like a MX bikes. I mean, that's certainly one of the first things that comes to your mind is MX bikes. I mean, that's just kind of what the game looks like. And some of you guys that know MX bikes, even though it's claiming to just be a simulator right off the bat, it certainly has way more arcadey elements to it than MX Simulator, I would say. Like, if I could, like, let me just try to piece all the motocross games starting from as arcade as it gets to as simulator as it gets, so it makes sense to you, right? So basically you could start off somewhere with like MX versus ATV Supercross and MXGP 2 or something, MXGP 3, right? And like MX vs. ATV Supercross. Those are some of the most arcade motocross games out there, period. Right? So that's kind of at the bottom of the food chain. Then you work your way up, and it's like a Fisher Monster ATV Supercross game. You've got MX vs. ATV Alive. You've got MX vs. ATV All Out. That kind of stuff. You know, you kind of work your way through all that, and you're working your way more towards the simulator, right? You keep going. You start working into games like Reflex. Then it kind of goes into like this LCQ Studio games, and then MX bikes, and then finally at the very tip end, you're hitting MX Simulator somewhere around there. So that's kind of the full scale and scope. You know, it starts off with like MX vs. ATV Supercross, MX GP2, like you can't even move in the air in those games, right? And then you just get a little bit more movement. Fisher Monster Supercross game, MX vs. ATV All Out. A little bit more movement, then it starts kind of, that's that middle ground right there, right around where you hit Reflex and this LCQ Studios games, what I'm thinking. You know, it's kind of right there in that middle. It's not super, super arcade. It's not super, super simulator. So you're somewhere in the middle ground, dude. So I don't know. I mean, it's certainly a cool idea. It is certainly a cool potential. Here's a little view of maybe the bike customization screen is what it looks like. So obviously you've got full customization. I assume you're going to be able to adjust every color on every little thing. So it's going to have a bit more of an arcadey bike customization system, but have a lot of options on it. That's what it seems like to me. Whereas with MX Simulator, it's completely all like custom user created content. That's the only way you can really get like bike graphics and skins and new wheels and all that kind of stuff in there. But this looks a little bit more arcadey in the sense of just being able to go in there and adjust on it on the screen right there. But maybe it has this sort of customization, and it has the where you can like import your own graphics in there from whatever kind of graphics you want to have and put it in there like you would on MX Simulator. That'd be a really cool way if they had kind of both options in there. You know, if they're trying to go for a hybrid, they've got the simple arcade motocross game editing screen, and then they've got the more advanced simulator. You know, go in there and put all your stuff you've made in Photoshop and all that, and you can put that on the bike. That'd be so cool to see that. You know, kind of have both ends of that spectrum there. That'd be very interesting to see. Home Dog's been hitting up the monster late nights. Yeah, dog, that's where it's at. But yeah, it's a cool little editing screen for the bike. Nice little background. Got the couch back there. What's up? Okay, here's a little bit of look at some of the whip action going on. I'm not even gonna try to, you know, start saying the whips are this or the whips are that. I mean, good God, it's a screenshot. Like, you know, you can't really tell what a whip is actually going to be like till you see that puppy in full-blown video action. And even then, they can certainly trick you a little bit with it, you know, with some of the angles, some of the way you see certain things. But, yeah, hopefully, I mean, it looks good. It looks like you're whipping her over there pretty good, pretty decent, pretty fluent. It all looks good. It looks like the rider animations are somewhat where they're supposed to be and all that. I mean, it looks nice. I'm not going to sit here and play around and lie to you, but I'm just saying there's a lot of things that look nice, and then you actually get down to it, and then it's not really all that nice, but it's just something we're going to have to wait and see, and that's really all there is to it, dude. But yeah, hopefully they can get that whole in-air physics system down. That would be really cool. I mean, sitting here thinking about it, like, honestly, it would be a pretty cool thing to see a game that's like Reflex, but a little bit more realistic. Maybe not quite to that MX Simulator level, but you know, it'd be cool to have a game where it's kind of got that like transition, like I was saying, from like you're going from one of those arcade motocross games, but you're not trying to go full-blown into a simulator, just trying to slowly, and this may help people get into MX Simulator, right? That'd be a really cool thing that this game might potentially do in the long run, is help a lot of those people that just have trouble getting into MX Simulator just because of how PC, you know, based it actually is. It's just so far from what an arcade motocross game is. A lot of times people can't even get into it because it's so different. You know, it's something that's so crazy different to their mind, they can't even comprehend it, right? You know, you've got fork compression, shock damping, this, that. You got rider mass distribution, stability, advanced stability, every plethora of different setting you can adjust on the bike on MX Simulator. And a lot of times people just lose track of what the hell they're even doing. You know, they don't understand. So it'd certainly be interesting. Oh my God, some crazy ass perp skirt rims going on there. That's certainly not the setup I'm gonna have. Good God, man, that's a little insane, I would say. But it's pretty cool right here. I don't know if this is like, you know, somewhat to their final game. Looks pretty complete in certain places. I mean, you can see some of this. It's got the A, select, skip track, all this stuff. That's cool, man. That's a nice little UI going on there. That is not bad at all. So either way, yeah, man, it's just something we're going to have to wait and see. But, okay, here is bike, dirt, mud effect. So, yeah, we'll see how much, you know, the mud on the tracks and the different kind of compounds of the dirt. There's just so much to talk about, man, when it comes to motocross gaming. I mean, I think a lot of people underestimate how far motocross gaming has actually came in the past 7-8 years, right? I think a lot of people just don't realize, even though it's kind of went downhill the past 7 or 8 years. I just mean like when Reflex came out and MX Simulator came out, it was like totally different level of motocross gaming. And I think some people are still sort of stuck in that realm of like some old school motocross where it doesn't really feel all that real. So then they have a lot of trouble understanding like how you could even have a full-blown pro race series in a motocross game and stuff like that, and how realistic the leaning is and the turning and the stuff like that on MX Simulator. A lot of people don't understand that. So this is apparently running Unity 5. So that's certainly a more advanced, more next level, graphic engine to the game, but it's nice little mud effects on the actual bike itself, which is not in MX Simulator at all. You can be on a muddy ash track, raining, lightning effects, and your bike's going to look perfectly clean on MX Simulator. So that'd be cool if that was ever added to MX Sim, certainly. But there's just so much to talk about. I don't want to make a 5-hour-long video here. I'm just kind of, going through some of these early stage screenshots. Nice little render out right there with the sunset effect coming into the bike. But yeah, it'll be cool if they go down the road of like really giving you that full story of like, you start off as a small rider or whatever, you work your way up, you gotta race in these local races or whatnot, and then you gotta get the money to buy these parts, which is not in MX Simulator at all. There is no buying parts or whatever. So I don't know if they're going to go down the more arcadey route of actually having to win races to buy parts, to do this, to do that. I know a lot of people really love that in motocross games because it kind of gives them a bit of a quest log, a bit of something to actually do there. But if you understand the scope and the realm of MX Simulator, you'll realize how like buying parts and stuff just seems silly in a game like that. It's just so pointless because like in most arcade motocross games, how long does it take you to get a maxed out 450 every part on it? Probably like a day tops. It takes you a day tops to get the best bike with the best stuff on it, the best everything. I'm not talking about a day gameplay time either. I'm talking about just a day's worth of kind of messing around and playing on it. You can have everything maxed out. And that's like laughable when you think about playing a day on MX Simulator. Like what you can get skill-wise in a day on MX Sim is like literally like nothing. I mean, it's so minute how good you get every day, but see, that adds up over a long period of time. So with a game that's as extensive as MX Simulator, it's kind of silly to have any sort of, actual getting more bike part progression in it. It just seems very silly in a game like MX Simulator, but maybe with this LCQ Studios game, maybe they can figure out a way to kind of meld that in there, but still have a pretty realistic bike feeling and all that. We'll just have to wait and see. I don't really know, because if they start going down that route, then you can't really have like the custom graphics and the custom bikes and stuff, because when you have the custom bikes, you've got all different kinds of engine components that people have put on it visually on MX Simulator, right? And all different kinds of wheel components and tire components and every whatcha thing about it. So it would be really difficult to see. You start running into these really weird like lapping over, twisting issues when you start trying to make something that's like an arcade motocross game, but it's also like a simulator. So that's going to be their biggest challenge, is kind of trying to be able to put all of that into one game and it feel not too much like one and not too much like the other. You get what I'm saying? Because then you're just going to wish it was whatever it is the most like. See what I'm saying? So see, that's where it definitely becomes a bit tricky there, but we'll just have to wait and see how they're able to really meld and put all that together. But it would be cool to have it to where you have to work your way all the way up through the ranks, go to Loretta Lynn's. You got to like basically do really good at Loretta's to get some pro team, and if you don't, then you're on a privateer team. Then you got to go win on a privateer bike to get on that pro team. It'd be cool to have a game that kind of had that full-blown sort of motocross storyline and tale from the very small 50s, and then you go to 80s, then you go up to 125s or something, then you kind of, you're like on super minis and 125s, and you work your way up into the 250 class, and you like got to win in a big national race like Loretta's, and then you get into the pros, and then you're on your 250F, and then you got to win like a championship on that before you work your way all the way up to the 450. That would certainly be really cool to see in a game, but that would just never really work on a game like MX Simulator. I mean, I say it never would really work, but you got to understand the way that you put custom content in there, bro. Like, you can't just lock off a certain amount of bikes on MX Simulator. That would make no sense. It would make no sense for everybody to have to start on a 50 on MX Simulator and play the game for like so long before they ever even get a 450. That just wouldn't... I mean, it seems like a really cool idea, and it seems like a really awesome thing to have in a motocross game, but specifically the way MX Simulator has melded itself into what it is, it'd be damn near impossible to make it like that full-blown storyline like I'm talking about in its current state nowadays. You know, it'd be very, very difficult to actually put that in there, and I'm not joking around when I say that. Like, it'd be tough to do, man, without a doubt. So hopefully they can get it figured out, and I'll make some more videos on this game in the future. This was just kind of a bit of an intro video talking about the whole idea around it and everything about it. And so that's all I was trying to do here, man. But either way, appreciate you guys watching all the videos. Later, dudes.